Thưa quý vị và các bạn, trong buổi chiều ngày hôm nay chúng ta cùng đến với phần thứ hai, đó là vấn đề quy hoạch điện tính bền vững. Và để mở đầu cho đề tài quy hoạch điện tính bền vững đầu tiên trong buổi chiều ngày hôm nay, chúng ta hãy cùng đến với bài trình bày của diễn giả kiến trúc sư Dunn, giám đốc văn phòng dự án công ty Edaw-Aecom tại Singapore, với đề tài những nguyên lý sinh thái và văn hóa cho thiết kế và quy hoạch bền vững, một số kiến nghị ban đầu cho Cù Lao Chàm và phố cổ Hội An. Xin được trân trọng kính mời kiến trúc sư Dunn.
Thank you and good afternoon. I was asked to talk a little bit slower than Victor this morning, just to allow the translation to catch through. So if the English sounds a little slow, bear with me. I'd like to thank the organizers for inviting myself and then also our company Edaw-Aecom to be present with you this afternoon. We've been doing a lot of work in this part of Vietnam, and it's a great honor and privilege for me personally to participate in some of the planning activities that you're currently engaged with. I'm going to switch a little bit in terms of talking about the master planning side and the way in which we approach sustainable development. And sustainable development about developing places. And in order to do that, I'll give you a little bit of background about our group, how we structure a group in order to address some of these issues and challenges. And then I'm going to talk about the model of sustainable development and some tools that we have developed to really get at the core issues of sustainable development and how you can measure, how you can actually track what you're going to be doing going forward. So a little bit about who we are. Edaw-Aecom, we are a versatile and collaborative community of design and engineering professionals. We have spanned, we spanned across many different geographies. Go to the next one. And the way in which we've built our practice in order to address some of the complexities that we're now facing in the world is really geared around different practices. And we've done that in a way that's about planning, design, it's about energy, about environment, about water, about transportation. And then we've done it so we've localized each one of those different disciplines within the countries that we operate in. And when we start to look at the strategy for design and how you actually realize these places that you imagine them to be, how you go through that process, there's a lot of people involved. It's a little hard to see the slide there, but there's a lot of different components from economics, master planning, strategic planning, policy making, building engineering. And this is something that we've strived very hard to get the right people together to create the best thought process in order to come up with the best solutions that are locally sensitive. Our group is, as I mentioned, fairly large. We're just over 45,000 people. We do work in over 100 countries. And the important part to that, and what I want to bring to you today, is that we have a very good global understanding of best practices. I know a lot of the issues here are localized. They deal with cultural elements, but there are many other groups dealing with the same issues across the world, which are good examples of how lessons learned can be applied. Now, I want to talk a bit about going beyond destination and what it takes to really create a destination that will enhance and sustain this region's built, natural, and social environments here in Hoi An. And in doing that, we have to look to kind of the future of sustainable development. Today's solutions, the things that you're discussing today, that's going to be the future that the tourist walking outside is going to see tomorrow. And if we start to think about those ideas and wrap them around this idea of the environment, the society, and the economy, and those three pillars, that's what's going to create the foundation for the future. And when we look at community sustainability, it's really trying to deliver long-term solutions that are still flexible. So this really needs to be part of your planning process and part of the process that the city goes through to create the future for both the residents here as well as the guests that are going to come and experience this incredible place. Now, when we start to talk about eco-cities or eco-movement of cities, we can start to think about how we mark the difference from a current urban form. What is it that we're doing different that we didn't do 20 years ago? And these are really wrapped around some key fundamental issues. They have to deal with water resources, with waste management, with our transportation systems about how we get from point A to point B, our energy technologies, which are rapidly changing. They have to do with the governance and the regulation that you're going to put in place to help to make the foundation of the community. And they're also about the eco-friendly and the materials that we actually use to build these communities. There's a lot of definitions that are starting to be developed, and I just want to point out the current one that's being defined in China with the Chinese eco-cities. I mean, there's a whole host of these. But they're starting to create an index about what it means to develop an eco-city or a sustainable city. And I really strongly encourage at the beginning of this process that you go through a similar exercise in defining the parameters of this index. And these start to then address the issues of water resource management, about water conservation, the demand management side, how you actually deal with the overall supply and demand of the water balance models, how you create alternative sources for potable water, how you create greywater systems, those kind of components. It deals with minimizing wastewater. So everything from the faucets, just like we see in the restrooms here, about being able to actually implement some technology that reduces the amount of water demand. We can look at the stormwater, and stormwater is a huge issue here in terms of both flooding as well as management of that. How can you then start to effectively control the quality of the stormwater and the quantity? How you can start to use it productively in alternative methods, either back into the domestic water supply or into features that become amenities such as lakes, fountains, those kind of things, where you start to reuse the water as much as possible. I think Victor pointed out earlier with the Singapore River, the innovative technology that's being implemented there about a water resource that then becomes a tourist attraction which draws people towards it. There's a new kind of concept within stormwater